Also, tell Richard I saw all the pictures that he sent for that feature on the female paratroopers, and they're all so deeply attractive. Is it impossible to find a lovely, slender female paratrooper? No. Am I reaching for the stars here? No. Not really. Also, I need to see all the things that Nigel has pulled for Gwyneth's second cover try. I wonder if she's lost any of that weight yet. Who is that?
Nobody. Well, Human Resources sent her up about the new assistant job, and I was sort of pre-interviewing her for you, but she's hopeless and totally wrong.
Well, clearly I'm going to have to do that myself, because the last two you sent me were completely inadequate, so send her in. That's all.
Right. She wants to see you.
Oh, move.
This is foul. Don't let her see you. No.
Who are you?
My name is Andy Sachs. I recently graduated from Northwestern University.
What are you doing here?
Well, I think I could do a good job as your assistant. And, yeah, I came to New York to be a journalist and sent letters out everywhere, and then finally got a call from Elias Clark and met with Sherry up at Human Resources, and basically it's this or Auto Universe.
So you don't read Runway?
No.
And before today you had never heard of me?
No.
And you have no style or sense of fashion?
Well, I think that depends on what you're...
No. That wasn't a question.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome back.
This movie's so fun.
We had a fun time with this movie.
I love watching this movie.
Second entry in our Oscar episode. This is kind of thinking outside the box. I guess just 2 Oscar nominations, Best Actress and Best Costume Design. But, you know.
Well, everybody listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yes.
Welcome back to the show. Second episode of the season.
Mm-hmm. Season
We're
5.
going to have a good time. And our guest today, I hope that you remember to pick up the skirts from Calvin Klein. It's Paul from That Age Well.
I did. I'm an and Erica, my co-host on That Age Well, has been an assistant for a long time. I have a good field of knowledge about it. I did remember. So.
Okay, good. Well, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
You're very welcome.
You were last on for Notes on a Scandal, another movie from 2006.
From this year. I noticed that when I was doing a little research. I was like, this is my year with you guys. Like,
I always try to get sort of the 2000s movies because it's the type of movies that you don't cover on your show.
Right.
Because I think that your cutoff is probably 2000 or 99.
Yeah, it's like
usually.
99 generally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So we're going to get into this a little bit more later on, but you mentioned Erica has worked as an assistant. So I hope that you get sufficiently upset with her when her job forces her to work,
Obviously. I will never forget the time, and this is a true story, that we met to have dinner, and she said, I had a bad day at work. My boss threw a printer at me, and she made the whole dinner about herself. And how she had to dodge office supplies.
How selfish.
Boss. Sorry?
How selfish of Erica.
I know. Some people are givers and some are takers. That's the way it is. Mm-hmm.
I can't believe she could possibly bring her work life home.
Exactly.
For one moment.
Yeah.
This movie, like we said, it was 2006 when it came out. We've gotten to the point where, like, as a society, we've reevaluated the movie, and there's the whole arguments of who's the real villain.
Everyone can agree that the Friends fucking suck.
Except for Doug.
That's just canon now.
Doug is okay.
The questionable sexuality.
The one who I don't know why they bothered to code is gay. I don't just make him gay.
Right. Even in 06, they were like, let's make it kind of ambiguous.
Let's make it metrosexual. He likes Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Right. Yeah, he's into it. He's digging it. But the other two, awful. We've all read the BuzzFeed articles of Adrian Grenier is the real villain.
I think that even Anne Hathaway has commented of, oh yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But I mean, at the time when this movie came out, we weren't thinking about that. We were just like, "Holy shit, this movie's incredible!"
Yeah, it's a blast. I have a blast watching it.
It's so much fun. This the soundtrack's great. Like that Madonna song, "Get Out of Here."
Two Madonna songs,
but Jump.
I
mean, yeah.
Confessions on the Dance Floor. Great album.
Absolutely. Isn't it interesting
wonderful.
too that Madonna got featured twice on this movie? That I would imagine. I don't know Madge personally, but I would imagine some of
You don't?
I don't. Sadly, she won't respond to my calls. But she. I would imagine it perhaps resonates with her. Certain aspects of this film, I would think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like it's got Meryl, like it's got like the Best Actress nomination. Like it's a big deal. This movie was a big deal.
Absolutely.
I did not catch this in the theater, and I know. And one of my good Judies, my friend Damien, who is straight and was his girlfriend at the time was very into this movie.
Okay,
and they bought the DVD, and
Damien's like a fashionista straight guy.
He
too.
is a fashionista straight guy, and so they let me borrow their copy. Yes, exactly. They let me borrow their copy on DVD, and I watched it, and I was just like, I love it. Yeah, I was just immediately taken by, and I am an Anne Hathaway apologist.
Sure,
I'm an Annie Stanny. I love her.
Yes, good.
Absolutely.
Double Anne movies back to back.
Yeah,
this and Brokeback.
Yeah, we just did Brokeback.
I will say that there was. The Oscar speech was really irritating. It was really irritating.
Right.
They're not wrong about that.
She was trying to make a Sally moment of it happened.
But
Scott,
I love her.
It came true.
It came true. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't even mind it. I was just like, I don't know.
You're fine.
I love all that bullshit when it comes to Oscars, though. I love an actress that just really fucking wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they all do. And let's be honest about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. Who are we kidding? But yeah, I mean, I don't get the whole like, oh, she's corny, whatever. Yeah, maybe she's corny. Who cares?
She has
like a lot of fun.
She has theater kid energy, but that's why we love her. She's like the theater kid from high school that just made it.
Well, you know who has theater kid energy? Me. I got theater kid energy. And so I recognizes like.
Right. Okay. When did you first see this, Paul? Do you remember your intro?
I saw this movie in the theaters at Cobble Hill Cinemas, for all you New Yorkers out there listening. That's where I was. I saw it with my wonderful friend Jared, one of my best gays in the whole world. We saw it, and we thought it was fucking hilarious. And it turns out we were right. It is fucking hilarious.
Absolutely.
Emily Blunt. Look, I know it's Meryl, but Emily Blunt.
Oh, she has some great zingers.
Yeah. And I look. She should have gotten a supporting actress nomination for this movie.
Right. Yeah.
Agreed. If there wasn't this bias against comic performances.
Right.
She would have gotten it. Like I had listened to you guys talk about In and Out a little while ago. And it was with Joan Cusack and I'm like, that's the slot. That's the slot. It's the Marissa Tomei slot in My Cousin Vinny. It's the one that Kate Hudson probably should have gotten this year for Glass Onion. Like, get some comedic performances in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she got the Globe.
She did.
So she came close.
And
but
the
BAFTA
Globe
has their comedy section. Oh no, they don't. Yeah,
but it's
supporting is all together. You're right, and the BAFTA. Yeah,
we have thoughts. We'll talk later about that. I think that Meryl's chances would have been upped had they campaigned this in supporting.
Oh,
but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
I saw this movie summer of 2006. I was living in Bozeman at the time. So it was in between my second year of college. And I saw this with some girlfriends of mine who I worked at a restaurant. And I remember the Gallatin Valley Cinema, which is connected to the mall in Bozeman. It was fucking packed. Like, I remember we could barely find – I don't think that we could even sit together.
Wow.
There were so many people in the theater because we walked in a little late. But, yeah, Saturday afternoon, it was packed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you three just
loved it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, we don't have to get too far into it, but I feel like I was watching Ugly Betty first.
Okay.
Before I saw this.
And I feel like Ugly Betty probably a big part of it getting greenlit.
was this.
Or getting picked up for the full season was this movie.
Yeah. And so to me, because I was watching that first, I was like, I don't get the comparison. They're totally different.
Well, and Ugly Betty, I think, sort of leans into the satire aspect of fashion a little more.
It's a soap opera. It's a little bit more high, like, not high comedy,
Ugly
but a little
Betty.
bit more farce. I loved Ugly Betty.
I did a rewatch of Ugly Betty a little while ago, and it doesn't, like, the end of it doesn't quite match the beginning, but that first season of Ugly Betty is
so good.
So good.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all on Hulu, I think, right now.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we watched the pilot a couple of months or maybe a year ago thinking we were going to start a rewatch. And
we
didn't
kind
get
of
around
thought we
to
might do it during the pandemic, and then we just kind of forgot about it.
I'll start it right now after this.
It's almost
I
worth
love
it
Ugly
just
Betty.
to watch Vanessa Williams. It was awful. Like driving through
absolutely.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Like the zingers.
Yes.
Vanessa chewing the scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wilhelmina Slater is kind of everything.
I mean, who would win in a fight between Wilhelmina and Miranda? I feel like Wilhelmina probably is a little more from the streets. Like,
I mean, like a physical fight, I think Wilhelmina.
yeah.
Yeah, because I just think she'll go there faster. Like
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when Vanessa Williams was on Drag Race and one of the, I think Mariah Balenciaga, they said, she looks like a black Miranda Priestly. And Vanessa Williams said, Wilhelmina Slater is the black Miranda Priestly. I was like, ooh.
Yes, she's not wrong.
Yes. I know.
I almost think they wouldn't fight. They would like unite and become like a editrix chimera or something like that.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the it was Mode.
Yeah, Mode.
The magazine.
Mode.
Yeah. Mode versus Runway.
And run by Eric Mabius from Welcome to the Dollhouse, correct?
Yep.
Yes, he was like he kind of ousted Wilhelmina or something like that. Well, we'll get into that later.
When we do
In
our
another
Ugly Betty
episode.
Patreon rewatch, as we recap every
Sure.
episode.
But you know what
Absolutely.
this movie really brings me back to, especially this time in pop culture, is do you remember just how gigantic Project Runway was at the time?
Yeah.
Of just how massive of a reality show that was, like way before RuPaul's Drag Race.
Absolutely,
I feel like
yeah.
Top Model was kind of like, I mean, were people really caring about Top Model at this time? But anyways, Project Runway.
Yeah.
I think that when 2006, this would have been, I think, season 3 with Jeffrey winning. But
yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I think that, is Tim Gunn in the movie somewhere?
Is he? He may be.
Heidi is.
Heidi is.
Heidi's
Heidi
in it
definitely is.
Tim
as
might be somewhere
self,
in the
yeah.
Paris Fashion Week scenes.
Uh-huh.
in the montages. Yeah. Yeah. Project Runway was definitely that kind of appointment TV. Everybody was just in the zeitgeist, and so
Kind of giving your average person an access to the world of fashion,
high
and they
fashion,
kind of felt included.
Yeah.
And Devil Wears Prada kind of does a similar thing too.
And it also, I think, highlights fashion as art. Like this is something that even if you think is stupid or silly or frivolous, like it's not just clothes, it's art. These are people making art.
Right.
That's the idea behind it.
Kind of the cross between art and business, and you get that in the big sweater scene.
Yes.
the cerulean
The
blue.
cerulean blue sweater.
Cerulean
Yep.
Hive
That-
Unite.
Oh, okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue. It's not turquoise. It's not lapis. It's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
dressing down, if you will, heyo.
I mean, Meryl is pretty boss when she gives that monologue.
No, I think that monologue is really, it kind of gives you the whole like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now.
Yeah.
I think I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading that Aline Brosh McKenna, who wrote this, who went on to create like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend with Rachel Bloom. Like,
okay.
Like she wrote that scene and she was like, they're going to cut this. They're going to cut 75% of it. If even 2 lines wind up in the movie, would be great. And apparently Meryl Streep insisted on it. She was like, this stays in.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I think that it went out of other drafts, then Meryl insisted on bringing it back because she really liked the scene.
Yeah.
And I know that kind of with this script, because this was handed off to numerous writers. I think that Peter Hedges, Paul Rudnick, and Don Roos all did passes at the script, and then they landed on this other screenwriter who ended up doing the final draft. But I know that the tone was a big deal of how do we do this movie? Do we do it as a straight-up screwball comedy? Do we do it as satire? Do we treat it seriously? And I think that they found a really good middle ground of how it treats the world of fashion.
Yeah, I think so, because there are aspects of it that are still ludicrous. As anyone who works in the arts know, no matter what art you're talking about, there's going to be aspects of it that are indeed ludicrous. But like,
right.
But also that it's truly important and it does matter and it's not nothing.
Right, and that's why, later on when the friends start kind of giving her shit about it, one of the friends like works at a gallery and like creates installations, and it's like, you should know better than the rest of these schmucks like how much.
Yeah. I have a hot take on this. I actually think that I don't remember her name, Tracy Toms, the female
Tracy
friend,
Toms, yeah.
who is actually even worse than Adrienne Grenier. It's actually worse than Nate.
I think so.
What has happened to you, woman? What has this woman done to you? She's given you a $2,000 bag for free and showed up at your gallery opening and then was late to someone else's birthday party. That is the sum total of what has happened to you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Buy her boyfriend drinks for the night.
Yeah.
Big deal. She's at like this Met Gala event.
Yeah.
Yeah, that character's crazy. She was kind of driving me nuts. On this rewatch, I was thinking kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like she's kind of up there as far as like who's the worst of.
Could you imagine taking your friend's cell phone and keeping it from them when their boss is
ringing,
calling?
knowing that it's their boss? Oh my god!
And they know the boss is awful. That if she doesn't pick it up, she's going to get reamed out the next day. And ugh. People in their 20s, man. I don't know how we made it through. They're awful.
Seriously. So we have to kind of talk about the transformation of Andy.
Okay.
From,
introduced as this Manhattan bog witch.
Frump.
I'm going to say like a feral Rory Gilmore type.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the chunky sweaters and like pilgrim shoes,
the Hermione Granger
hair,
like the one who's offended when you're like, why not run a brush through your hair? Like if you don't want to brush your hair, fully support that.
Yeah,
but you can't have a lustrous mane and not brush your hair. You can't do
Anne Hathaway. Yeah,
one or the other.
Yeah, we know she's got thick hair.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, so this is obviously played for comedy. Like, why is she gets put up at a fashion magazine and she's just not that girl? And again, fine. If you're not that girl, that's cool. Not everybody is,
And I think the idea where Miranda ends up doing the job interview is that clearly the girls that you think would be good at this job are not working out. So
yeah. So let's try Frumparina.
Let's try Frumparina here.
Okay. But I think the truly unbelievable thing is, we haven't even talked about Stanley Tucci.
The Tooch.
Okay, is this patient zero for Stanley Tucci taking every gay role in cinema for a gay role of a certain age? Is this where it started?
I think it might have been because, it has definitely become a stock Tooch character.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much playing a brother in Burlesque. Like, are those two characters twins separated at birth?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also in the Hunger Games, he was just same thing.
Flickerman, yeah.
Supernova, where he's the dying gay.
Yeah. I avoided that one. I was like, I'm depressed enough about the world.
It's a big old bummer.
Can't watch that.
And we watched that deep in the pandemic too.
Ooh, you guys are braver than me. I'm like, this is going to make me throw myself out the window.
Oh boy, yeah, that was something. that was something else. But I mean, he's doing it well, and I know in 2023 maybe he wouldn't have gotten cast for this, and it's like throw, I don't know, Billy Porter another bone, like come on. But
yeah. Do you think that some of that is also like, and I don't mean this to comfort Stanley Tucci at all, but like if you take in 2004, whenever they were casting this, 2005,
right,
they were bringing actors in and they were like, could you do it gayer? And the actual gay actors were like, no.
Graham Norton, I know, was one of the actors in the short list.
And the straight actors are like, oh, okay, sure. They're like not offended by it at all. Like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I can flounce. I'll flounce. Yeah, you want me to flounce? No problem. You want me to wear a ring the size of like a baby's head? Yeah, I got that. No worries.
Oh my God, that huge cameo ring that he's got.
It's so big. It is a weapon of mass destruction.
It really is. It's a shield. Like,
try coming for that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so. He's this character that's kind of like she doesn't know if she can trust him, but at the same time, he's still mean to her, but he's not as mean to her as...
He says some pretty shitty things to her.
He does, but then he also gives her shoes. You know what? He's the one who's really waging like the most intelligent war on her psyche because she doesn't know where he's going to come at her. He might be nice, Nigel. Nigel, what's his name? Nigel, yeah. Nice Nigel one day, and then just shank her right in the side 2 minutes later.
I was going to say, he's giving her power, but he can easily take it away.
Exactly. You rely on me now.
Well, okay, so my big question is, as someone who's not familiar that much with the fashion world or the art world or just the kind of creative industry, is like, okay, these clothes, this mythical closet,
yeah,
right?
Is this the thing?
She has to have a transformation,
right?
But is she borrowing all these clothes?
Does
she have to give them back?
Are they sample sizes? Like, are they sample clothes?
To my understanding of it, I mean, I know this closet does exist. Like, I think it is a real thing in these.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they do. They have all these clothes. I get the impression that she's borrowing them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how. I mean, maybe there's some stuff he's like, you can just have this. We're never going to use this again. This is from 4 years. But, like, that she's, like, going to wear them to fit in.
Right.
To fake it till she makes it for a year and then give them back, take care of them. And like, if you spill red wine on it, you got to pay for it or something like that. That's my impression.
Or you have to sign it out.
Yeah. Sign it
on
out
like
or something
a
like that.
piece of paper when you go out of the office and sign it back in a couple months later.
So she signs out her entire wardrobe.
Mm-hmm. It's like a library for clothes that's not going to fit any normal human being.
Right. And she's a 6, so she's like squeezing it. I think he says something about like fitting into something.
And she's size 8.
No, she's a 6.
She's a 6, and then she's a 4 at the end of the movie.
By the end of the movie,
I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could have that line now.
I don't think. I don't think you can. At one point, she's like, "Okay, I don't fit in. I'm not skinny." I'm like, "Don't gaslight me, movie." This is a Natalie in Love Actually situation. That's Anne Hathaway. She is a willowy beauty.
Absolutely. And then she says, I'm a 6. And he says, what does he say? Might as well be a 14.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I love it. So, all right. So I guess, what do you call it? Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
The clothes are hers for however much she needs them. And we do get set up that she does get to keep fabulous items like the Bang & Olufsen phone and the $2,000 purse.
That phone was so funny. I was like, was that a thing? That looks like a sex toy. That does not look like a phone. It looks like that is a vibrator. Like
it kind of looks like a shofar, but like
this was the. I believe the movie. Like, I'm sure it's real, but I was I don't remember that in the slightest.
Oh, and Scott also said, as we're watching it, just out of the box, just a loose handset.
How do you
like?
I mean, there has to be some sort of a deck that you plug it into the wall with.
Something.
No, I think that's the thing about this phone is that fabulous that it's
solar powered.
It's a phone, but it's an objet d'art, so it's like it just sits on the counter, and then it's solar powered.
Speaking of phones, Miranda's razor was bringing me back. I had a pretty sweet razor at this time.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Miranda has obviously this is pre-iPhone. And I don't think that Miranda even would bother with a BlackBerry. So the Razor's probably right.
Yeah, I'm amazed she bothers with a cell phone at all. Why
we're
have
kind
her
of surprised
assistants or
at
cell
that.
phones?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like her black book is going to be Andy.
Right.
Yeah.
But Andy has a sidekick, but she never flips the screen up the way the sidekicks are intended to be used.
She's not using it to its fullest purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
And nor letting people know that, hey, I have a sidekick.
Yeah, look at
I have
me.
a $300 sidekick. Yeah. I coveted the sidekick so much. I wanted one.
It bothers me when she throws it into the fountain at the end of the movie. I'm like, bitch, you are in Europe without a phone. You are in a foreign country without your sidekick.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
How are you going to get home?
How are you going to get home for your boyfriend to tell you that he's decided to take a job in Boston? You can quit your high-powered job and move with him.
Oh, we had a lot of thoughts about that. Mm-hmm.
So they're on. Oh God, yeah, we'll get. We got to get to that a little bit later, but okay. So Tucci's awesome. Obviously,
Tucci's loose.
Let's talk a little bit about Emily Blunt.
So good. So I know that the character of Emily was written as an American. When they met Emily Blunt, they liked her so much. They're like, keep your accent. It works.
Perfect.
Because nothing says a good foil like a snooty British woman.
Yeah. The fact that she can wear that much green eyeshadow and not look like a sea witch is it's witchcraft, frankly. I don't know how she does it.
We were commenting on the garage doors.
We like our Emily Blunt maybe with some bangs, though. I think that bangs frame her face a little better.
There's also the one scene where she has the hair like really like gelled up and back, like she's staring into a wind machine, but she's just sitting there. Like it's. I'm like, that's a lot of hair. But hello, 2006. There you are.
They dress her a lot in Vivienne Westwood. That's what Pat said on the commentary.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. They put her and Vivienne Westwood the most, and Anne in Chanel when she has her big makeover.
That makes sense. She looks amazing. Look, the performance is. She makes a gesture iconic. Everyone who's seen the movie knows what gesture I'm talking about. Like Meryl Streep gets so much attention for this movie, but I kind of think that Emily Blunt might be the secret sauce. That really makes it
she does so much with just a simple look.
Yeah.
To Anne Hathaway in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And I also love that you like her as the audience. That she somehow tricks you into liking her, which is key because you have to feel bad for her at some point.
Yeah. She seems somewhat complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a wench the entire time. But she's no, I want Emily to get to go to Paris. She's worked so hard for it.
The real Emily that needs to go to Paris.
Exactly. Good Lord, that show is making me stupider every minute of it I watch.
Oh, we jumped ship after maybe 3 episodes of it.
I can't do it. I have a problem. I need help. Send help. I need it. I will pay a higher premium to Netflix in order for them to not push that show on me because when they push it on me, I watch it and it's awful.
We were watching Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, and I was like, "That's where I know that guy."
Oh yes,
the super handsome He
is an abysmal actor. I know we're off topic, but he is he is an actor that is so bad he makes himself actively less attractive when he speaks.
Oh no,
he's really good. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris
it's a good thing he's so pretty because
must be nice.
He has a lot of cushion there. Yes, but God. Sorry, I will stop talking about Emily in Paris now.
Sure. We'll go back to Emily Blunt and her garage doors. Yeah. It's that thing where, especially when you're younger and you start a new job, there are just those people that are so into it, even though you're like, you realize this job is taking years off your life.
Yeah.
Why are you so gung-ho for this? And there's people that are just like, yes, I believe in the cause. I believe in working overtime with no pay. I believe in, not getting any respect. And you're like, why?
This is the equivalent of being an assistant for Anna Wintour.
Yeah.
And what a huge responsibility and deal that is.
Yeah. I mean, Anna Wintour is obviously the Miranda is the stand-in for this character. So you just kind of have to think, okay, in the real Vogue magazine or whatever, there's somebody that has this job. But yeah, when you're a certain age, when you're in your early 20s and starting out in the workforce, at least for me, I just had a lot of these moments where I was just like, really? You're buying all this? Like, what? How do you buy all, like, what? And Emily is just that character that she's all in. She just knows that this is like,
yeah. Well, presumptively, like, she wants a career in fashion,
right?
Like, so I think the movie has a really interesting relationship with like the compromises it thinks people should make in pursuit of their dreams. Because like Andy, the Anne Hathaway character, is like, I want to work this job for 1 year, get my accolades for literally surviving, and then get Miranda's like recommendation to go work at, I don't know, the New Yorker or some high class publication that's not this. Not that Vogue is in high class, or excuse me, Runway. Whatever the magazine is in this. Whatever, which one. And so it's like, that to me is like, okay, so that makes sense. Like, this year of my life is gone for the goal, right? But then later the movie's like, it's not worth it, and I'm like, but isn't it kind of worth it? Like, you want to get a job in one of these places, unless you're a Nepo baby, you're gonna have to eat some shit before you do it. Like, and
absolutely,
if you have it seems like the information in the movie is reliable. You do this for a year, you can go where you want to go.
Right.
So maybe all of her friends should shut up and be like, let us support you for this year and get you through it.
I think what the movie kind of is, what the movie's doing is saying, like, do your year of shitty work to get the doors open that need to become open, but it's showing us that Andy is like, she's starting to buy into it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's her downfall. Where it's like, I don't know, that's fine. She can buy.
It has a bit of a mixed message problem.
Especially if you're going to do this year of eating shit. It's like, especially nowadays with people rejecting hustle culture and kind of embracing, like, take your time off and, like, work-life balance and all of that is so much, right now in our minds. At that point, it's still kind of, hustle culture was still very much part of, like, this is the only way you're going to get to where you want to go. And so I think, the mixed message is she's buying all the bullshit, and that's making her a bad person.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't quite know what the movie is trying to tell me she does wrong. Because like the movie wants me to say her like going to Paris in place of Emily is wrong. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well then you shouldn't have Emily been hit by a car and be in traction.
Right? Can't you? I mean, I guess that Andy has to go to Paris now.
Right. Like Emily physically can't, so she has to go. So like if you want to make it like you're betraying this person who trusted you, then you can't give her the easy out.
Yeah.
And then also you can't like I don't think Andy does that much wrong. Like at one point she goes back to Nate and she's like, "You were right about everything." I'm like, he was right about almost nothing. Like he called you pretty once. He was right about that.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, you're right. Oh man, and when she does have her makeover and he like just waltzes right past her, like she doesn't look that different. Come on.
Yeah.
They literally brushed her hair and put her in different clothes. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and then I'm thinking too, I'm like, okay, if she really is this girl of the pilgrim shoes and the chunky sweater, I don't know that she's doing the winged eyeliner.
Who's teaching her how to do that?
Professionally, like
she had one how-to with the makeup department at the magazine, and they were like, okay, figure it out. Get up early.
Yeah.
Try to learn how to put on eyeliner.
Did we even have YouTube in 06? And
YouTube,
if we did,
the very early days. And I don't know what kind of makeup tutorials were on YouTube in 2005 or 2006.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. James Charles wasn't around to show her how to do
a real pity. A real pity before in a pre-James Charles universe.
How did we survive?
Did we?
But I'm sitting there going, her makeup is flawless.
Yeah.
I know girls who've worn makeup their entire lives that are just like, oh my God, if I have to do liquid one more time.
I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. To work, no less. But
should we talk a little bit about the character introduction of Miranda Priestly?
Yeah.
So Pete immediately resents that this movie and the director, Daniel Frankel, he came from TV. He did a lot of HBO work.
Okay.
I think that's kind of what got him this movie, was his work on Sex and the City at the time. But this movie pretty much directly pulls the character introduction of Bette Midler in Big Business.
It sure does.
Yep. And I kind of think the Big Business opening is a little more successful. Not saying that I don't like Miranda's introduction in this movie, but there's just something about how grand and sweeping the opening of Big Business is. I think with like the score, with the big reveal of Bette Midler in the hat.
Well, it's also a little bit more high comedy, a little bit more farcical in Big Business. So they can get away with the hat reveal that's very like Rose DeWitt Bucator. Like, ooh, here I am, you know?
But the nerve of we're going to directly reference the scene.
But you can't, I guess you have to. But and I think that also probably in 2006, they were just like,
no one's seen it.
No, what faggots
no one cares.
are going to care about?
And every homosexual was like, excuse you. Excuse you. You think we don't know where this comes from?
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
We already been new. But I mean, it is the best, you know, kind of introduction for her. But yeah,
the character look of Miranda is so good. I mean, this is Meryl Streep has been with her same hair and makeup gay for like decades.
Okay.
Like, he won the Oscar for The Iron Lady. His name is J. Roy Helland, and he's been working with her for years. And they just sort of came up with this character look. And just like the wig, the glasses, she wears a lot of coats.
She has to wear the coats to throw them on.
Throw them on. Throw them on the desk.
To throw them on Emily's. No, not Emily. What does she call Andy at the beginning?
Emily.
The wrong name. Does she call her Emily?
Oh, then she finally calls her Andrea.
Andrea, not Andrea, not Andy, Andrea. So my mother, who is always our litmus test for is this a good movie or not? Will this movie play in Pomona?
Sure.
Well,
that's my mom. My mom is one of them. So my mom loves it, and she's just like, "Oh, Meryl, Meryl is so good in The Devil Wears Prada," and she goes, "I love the hairstyle that they gave her in that movie. It looks so good on Meryl." And my mom says, she should just keep that hairstyle and just wear it in real life.
She should.
Sure.
It looks so good on her.
Yeah.
It's such a good hairstyle for her age and her and I'm just like, yeah, Mom, she should. That is a great. You should get that.
Absolutely. Perfect. Here's my question about Miranda. I had many thoughts about her, but like,
well, yeah,
the idea that Andy literally doesn't know who she is,
right?
Sure,
is so insane. Like, that actually makes Andy the asshole.
Especially coming from if she wants to get into publishing.
Yeah.
Too.
Like, this is a huge power player in publishing, and you're just walking in being like, well, I got this random interview. I don't know. Like, a stirfwad. Like, no wonder she's annoyed at you. Like, this is, you know, you're going into interview with Spielberg to like be a PA or something. Get your shit together, Andy.
Absolutely. That's that job. Like, again, if we're making this real world, if any one of our, and it's like, yes, we are 3 homosexuals staring at each other, but if anybody else in the world was just like, I got an assistant job working for fucking Anna Wintour, like, people would know, people would care, even their straight dad, even their like, you know, friends from college or whatever. It's just somebody that's in the public mindset.
Absolutely. And Vogue is a big deal. Like,
or even if maybe they don't know the name Anna Wintour, but if they say the editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, personal assistant,
that's a big deal.
That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she has to know, if she doesn't know Miranda Priestly, she has to know that
Absolutely.
Runway magazine, you know. Do you watch television? Do you watch movies? Because it's all people, you know, it's a joke when women take like Cosmo quizzes and like all that kind of stuff, as people know these things. Mm-hmm. So you're right. It does kind of make Andy, if not the asshole, then just like, do your homework.
Yeah, like a dope. Like, so you're like, it makes her very like, I think in today's parlance, like, you're privileged. Like, you think you're just going to walk in, you don't have to do any research, you're just going to walk in and get the job. And like, that's basically what she does. I do love the moment where she turns around to have her big speech about how smart she is, and Stanley Tucci just walks right past her and doesn't even acknowledge her and cuts it off. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, any industry, if you're at the biggest publication for that industry, they're going to treat it the same. If it was a photography magazine, if it was, you know, a magazine about model trains or whatever, if you were in like the biggest publication, if you're at Cat Fancy, you know,
I mean, I would be so lucky if I was an assistant to the editor-in-chief of Cat Fancy. Okay, so there's a throwaway joke with Emily Blunt about the old assistant that missed the phone call, and she's now working for TV Guide. And both Pete and I looked at each other of just like,
I would love to work at TV Guide.
Awesome. I would push my grandma down the stairs to work at TV Guide in 2006.
Absolutely, I would have.
We're like, that's the bad. That's okay.
That's the bad job.
That's where you go to die.
That's the garbage job.
Yeah. But to people at Runway, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh man. See, now they have to do the Devil Wears Prada for Cat Fancy magazine though. I'd love to watch.
That would actually be a really funny like SNL sketch or something.
Yeah,
I would do the whole
I was
thing
gonna say,
at Cat Fancy.
It sounds like a drag race mini challenge or something.
Yeah.
I was reading that the bouffant hairstyle was inspired by model and actress Carmen.
Oh yeah, that old woman.
Del Orfici?
Del Orfici. Yeah, she's that model that with
she
the gray
has
hair.
that beautiful icy white hair.
She has the silver hair. Yeah, and it is not. Yeah, how did I not think of that? It's almost exactly Miranda Priestly's hair.
Yeah,
it's that woman. Yeah. She's fierce, but it's that thing. It's like, ooh, she's still modeling, and she's 80, and she has gray hair. But it's like, is she though?
She's also insanely beautiful too.
Yeah, but she's not doing she's not doing like
not anymore.
The big campaigns. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't think of that. Yeah, I know that lady. Yeah, the hair is great. The styling is great. And we know at one point she's in a car or something, Miranda, and she either puts on or takes off her sunglasses. And as she did it, I was like. And they're these huge, giant, probably Chanel sunglasses. And I was like, oh, those are prescription. You could tell that there was a prescription when she put them on.
And it was probably just like a Meryl note with whoever was doing the glasses of, just put my prescription in them. I'm going to be wearing them a lot.
Just put my prescription in these things. Yeah. I mean, I'm all damn day long.
I can easily read my script. Yeah.
It's interesting. Meryl, was pretty they wanted her for this part, and then they were only supposed to shoot in New York, and they did just 2 days of exteriors in Paris, but Meryl never went to Paris because she was too expensive for them to send. So anytime you see Miranda in something that is identifiably Paris, it's a body double. It's not actually her.
Love it.
And the big scene at the ending was...
It's just on some steps.
Yeah, it was just on some steps in New York. I mean, when I think about it, about Meryl Streep's career, I mean, she's a massive titan, but I do think this movie... I think sent her over the edge of really being untouchable.
100%.
That it's Meryl Streep, but I don't think that Meryl at the time, you wouldn't say that she was, I mean, I guess she was a box office draw in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
But this movie, I mean, it made a lot of money. It led to stuff like Mamma Mia, and it just sent her to this astronomical place in the industry that she was really untouchable.
Yeah, it sent her onto a decade of she got nominated for an Oscar
for everything.
For everything for a year. Yeah. And I mean, she's always great, so it's you can't get too mad about it. But you're also, Glenn Close doesn't have an Oscar, guys. Can we get a team on this, please? Angela Bassett does not have an Oscar. We need to fix it.
Yeah, she just sort of became her own IP after this movie. This is a Meryl Streep vehicle.
Joint.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to mention that there was definitely a time when in the public you were just like, oh, okay, so she's just going to get nominated for every performance then.
Yeah.
For every movie she's in.
This
okay,
was her 14th nomination.
Yeah. Yeah.
14th.
And she's
again,
gotten
to
like
me,
7 or 8 since then, right?
I think that she's 20 now.
Yeah.
And she hasn't been nominated since The Post, so it's been a while.
Oh, she's due.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
God, can we please get Meryl Streep some acknowledgement of all the work she's done? People,
I know.
Give her a 4th.
Will someone not acknowledge this woman's work?
It's about time. This was obviously it's a wonderful performance. Obviously I love it. I'm here for it. But it's one of those things where I'm sitting there at home and I'm just thinking, but lead though? Is she the lead?
That's my thing about because they put Meryl in lead because it's one of those. It's like the whole Joan Crawford and like Baby Jane of that.
Sure.
You're not going to put an actress of this stature in supporting.
Yeah.
Because it's Meryl or Joan. But I think if they were a little more strategic, I think they would do it now. Just because I think that studios are so just shameless of where they put placement now that I think that if Meryl would have gone supporting, which they very well could have, I think that J-HUD would have a little more competition of who won that final award.
That was such a weird year. Like the 2 nominations for Babel, which I will freely admit I have never seen, but I don't think most people have.
No.
And I'm like,
I
I
haven't seen
have
it.
not. I'm sure they're lovely actresses, but I'm like, those 2 didn't go on to do anything after that. Like,
Right.
I mean, not here, perhaps in their native countries. Again, I don't know them that well, but like, yeah, I agree. I think she would have had a real shot.
And it's like Jennifer Hudson's good in Dreamgirls, but also I think that if you just kind of put any, but what I'm saying is I think that if you're a good singer, that I think that role is just really good.
Yeah.
And it's just a good showcase of your vocals.
Absolutely.
So
she's a vocalist.
Was it kind of a done deal as soon as she signed on to that movie that she was going to make it that far in an award campaign? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Beyonce's a good vocalist and she didn't get a nomination.
This is true.
Of the 2 of them, Jennifer Hudson is a significantly better actress, and that is not a sentence I say very often.
But also like Beyonce, it's one of those weird things of that. Do you think Beyonce really wanted to have an acting career, or was it more just the people that surrounded her?
I don't think she did because. Look, the woman is...
I don't think she cared.
She doesn't care.
Yeah.
She did... Why was Nala in The Lion King from Houston? Like it just sounds like Beyonce. She has no interest in not being Beyonce, which is fine. Like, no, like stop telling her she should. She doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's, the whole, like, it's your logical next step is to move into, the acting world or whatever. But,
the Oscar path for this movie is interesting because this is a populist movie. It's like it's made for audiences, not necessarily an award bait movie. And I think that there was definitely a conversation of, well, why can't Meryl Streep get in Best Actress for this movie?
Yeah.
And it just sort of kept at that momentum until Oscar, which I think is really interesting. And definitely not something that you see really a lot now.
Yeah, it's harder. Now because
it's harder.
Well, because it like the machine. I mean, I don't know. You guys know more about the history of that stuff than I do, but like obviously with the Weinstein Miramax, like changing the campaign structure and making it such a political thing, like comedic performances are even nominated even less now. I feel like than they used to be. Like, there's almost never a comedic performance getting in there.
Are kind of a crowd favorite movie, like you mentioned Glass Onion earlier.
Yeah.
Of that Glass Onion was a huge hit for Oscar. But I feel like that realistically was never really had a chance in a lot of the acting categories or Best Picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, sure, we'll let you have your adapted screenplay nomination, but
Yeah, and then you have like Michelle Yeoh and Everything Everywhere All at Once, who I am lighting a candle for every day, hoping that she wins.
Same.
But like, I don't know that I don't know that I would call that a comic performance. That's a dramatic performance that encompasses everything. Like she has comedic beats, dramatic beats, everything. So like, it's not comic in the way that like this one is. And like, there's dramatic beats in this performance that I feel like Meryl Streep was probably like, you have to put something in here for me to actually like sink my teeth in. I'm not going to do this movie and just be a clown the whole time. I already did that in She-Devil, and I've proven that I can do it. I don't need to do it again.
Yeah. That's true. Like, Meryl did have a time in the early 90s of that all of us gays, like, love stuff like She-Devil and Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
But at the time in the industry, it was Meryl can't do comedy.
Right.
And that was just sort of the perception of, she's a dramatic actress, stay in your lane.
Yeah. And Meryl was like, I won't. I have a double wide. I am in both lanes. Thank you.
Because God bless our Nick, but could she ever perform Madeline Ashton? In a, could Nicole Kidman ever be in
That's a hard one.
Has Nicole
in
Kidman
She-Devil
ever done a pure comedy?
Bewitched?
I didn't see Bewitched, but I heard there weren't a lot of laughs to be found.
What did I just watch that I was like, A, I didn't know she was in this, and B, she's really funny in it.
Just go with it?
I mean, okay, so she did like Being the Ricardos, which was not a comedy. That was an Aaron Sorkin thing.
Right.
And look, I think Nicole Kidman's a great actress, and I think if you're a great actor, you can do comedy. So I believe that she could. Provided she doesn't have just abysmal timing, which I don't think she does. I don't think you get to that level with no timing whatsoever. That'd be an interesting turn for her, to do a real, like, strong supporting comedic actress turn in some, like, big comedy.
I need to have her filmography in front of me. I'm sure that she has.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'll think about what the hell I was watching.
Outside of the AMC commercial, which was obviously high camp.
Our new white diamonds.
Exactly.
Yep.
We love it.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Okay,
I mean, she was really funny in Big Little Lies. You can't... Sorry. Just to laugh a minute, that show.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. We got Emily Blunt out of the way. The Tooch. Oh, Simon Baker, I forgot, was in this movie.
The Mentalist.
The Mentalist is in this movie.
Did you guys watch Fleischman is in Trouble?
No.
Oh, man, does that character hit differently after you watch Fleischman is in Trouble?
Oh.
It is like he is not the villain of it, but like he's very... That trope is extremely central to one of the characters' arcs in Fleischman is in Trouble. Not spoiling anything, but it's very
sure.
funny.
Okay.
I have a piece of advice for all the young people out there in the world based on Simon Baker's character. A little PSA, as we do on That Age Well sometimes.
Let's hear it.
If young gentlemen, young ladies, young non-binary people, if an older person approaches you of any gender and starts hitting on you, and they then proceed to circle you like you are prey, talking behind you so you can't see them, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Look at me in the eyes if you want to talk to me. You don't need to smell me, you predator. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's that thing too, where it's like he comes in clutch with the Harry Potter manuscript, which
that whole thing
first of all, that whole thing.
Well, I get it from a script.
They wanted the impossible.
They wanted the impossible.
It doesn't bother me at all, but it's like that. Absolutely,
it's almost ludicrous.
Not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My friend does the cover art, Pete, and I laughed at that.
Yeah, my friend does
Your
the cover art.
Your friend does the cover art.
And said,
your
sure,
friend
you
is
can
married to
have my
Longpree.
copy. She would literally have been assassinated. Like just gone.
Yeah, also the copy that is probably stamped everywhere, do not duplicate.
Right.
And she had professionally copied and bound.
Yeah.
So she took it somewhere.
Yeah.
That need to do that.
And some employee at Kinko's just isn't looking at this and
whatever,
being
I don't
like,
care.
I'm going to be making one more for myself.
Yeah.
Because somebody at Runway is going to see that and say, I'm not going to reproduce this. This says do not duplicate. So fuck you. go do it yourself.
Right. And
I'm not losing my job for you.
Do we really think those set of twins from The Shining that Miranda has spawned are going to keep the ending of the seventh Harry Potter book to themselves?
Right.
Those two assholes, from what we know of them, are putting this right on eBay as soon as they finish reading it.
Absolutely. And frankly, I don't even blame them. That's not their fault. That's the parents' fault. That's bad parenting.
So there's that, and then there's also
you made $4 off your lemonade stand. I sell the Harry Potter manuscript for $6 million on eBay. Eat my shorts.
Each of us did.
Sorry,
there's that, and then there's also get me out of Miami in the middle of a hurricane and
see if Donatello's jet is available.
Yeah.
I love that line.
There is something, I'm like, celebrities, please stop ignoring weather reports when you fly. The weather doesn't care that you're famous. Stop it.
No.
Stop.
Did she not see La Bamba? I mean, come on. There's signs out there. But we're talking about Simon Baker.
Yes.
Yeah, so he came in clutch with the Harry Potter thing because he's best friends with Mary DeLongpre, I guess. But
I love that you have the name. Good job. You got that pull.
I mean, but that's the thing. That woman, the illustrator for the American Harry Potter books is just as famous. You know, like anybody who read the books, you remember reading that.
Yeah.
On the cover of every book that you got. So it's like, oh, come on. They could have come up with something else.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
I think that it might be something different in the book. I don't know what it is.
It has to be something
I was reading the Wikipedia plot synopsis of the book, and I'm just like, oh, the movie's way better.
Yeah.
When I'm reading like the plot beats of the book, I'm just like, oh, they wisely cut all of that.
Yep.
There's a character of like, there's a character of a roommate that I'm like, oh no, like we need wise to cut that. Mm-hmm.
The one thing I did, because I read the same thing, and I was like, oh, the one interesting thing that's different in the book is that her boyfriend, Nate, is like an inner city school teacher as opposed to like a sous chef in a restaurant. And I'm like, that's
we have to make him real saintly.
But it would make his whole like stop complaining about your job thing land a lot more if he's like literally in the trenches trying to do good in the world, and you're like literally doing a kid's science fair project. Like I like, okay, that gives him a little bit more of an engine to be like, I don't want to be married to this person, you know.
And also, like I was saying about the Tracy Toms character, it's like she's in the art world, which is just as, forgive me, but the art world is just as bullshit as the fashion world.
At a nice New York restaurant too.
And to be in the food world in New York,
that's this other
he should
brand of
know
bullshit.
just as much as the other.
Absolutely, one of my favorite things about watching it this time was when that famous scene where she comes in and they're all at his restaurant, and he is. Look, he's 24. They're like 24, 25 in this movie. He is literally a cockroach in the restaurant. All he is doing all day is chopping onions, but he is sitting in uniform in the middle of the restaurant just having wine with his friends. I'm like, absolutely not. That the chef would literally stab you in the back. You would be killed.
Yes. No, this is not. Yeah. No. This is insane. And if he is just doing prep work, things like that, he would be working just as crazy hours as Andy. He would be having to do just as crazy of things.
He would probably have to be. He would
go
probably
find
be
these
called in on his
ingredients.
birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. He would be working. If you are in the food service industry, you work on your birthday. You work holidays. He should know more than anybody what the demands of your dream job.
But you guys, he's played by Adrian Grenier from Entourage. Do you remember there was a moment where they're like, Can we make this guy work as a lead actor? Like there was a moment of like, we're going to try to make this guy work.
Do you know why Adrian Grenier wouldn't work today? Because he's very attractive. He's got a very pretty face, all of that. But and I mean, I'm no one to talk. But when he takes his shirt off, he has never set foot in a gym.
He's not there.
A day.
He's skinny, but he's not toned.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not
and that shit doesn't fly today.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with the Adrian Grenier oeuvre. I'm realizing because I never watched Entourage out of self-preservation, and then I watched this, and I don't think I saw that rom-com he did with Sarah Michelle Gellar, Melissa Joan Hart, one of those three-name blonde actresses.
Drive me crazy.
Drive me crazy, yes. Which, by the way,
terrible.
SMG and MJH are not equal. Please do not mistake me. One is Buffy and the other one is not. So I just didn't know which one was in that movie. No. And then I don't even know if I could list anything else he's done.
When I was in high school, I really liked The Adventures of Sebastian Cole. I always thought he was really cute in that movie.
And he's in Cecil B. Demented.
Yep.
Okay.
But that's really it, because like you said, neither of us were big Entourage people.
Yeah.
That's not our...
I don't even think that Entourage even got him any big lead roles in movies.
Right.
No.
I mean, maybe he just made so much money off Entourage that he just didn't want it.
Didn't he become like an environmental activist? Am I getting that right?
Maybe.
I think he kind of. I should have looked this up before I said it. I think he kind of just like left Hollywood and was like, "I'm going to save whales" or something like that.
Sure.
He probably made a lot of cash.
Yeah,
off of
doesn't
that
need
show.
to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The damn friends and boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
the real villains of this movie.
The real villains of this movie. Also, that guy is supposed to be a professional chef, and frankly, that grilled cheese looked mediocre.
Oh, come on.
Burned.
Yeah, no, that was
Looked a little burnt.
nothing to write home about. Just because what did he say that was in it? There's $8 worth of Jarlsberg in there. Big deal. Big deal. So we're in Paris and we're at a big party and we're getting introduced to people, and Emily says, "Well, that is Jacqueline Follette."
Oh, that's when they go to the not Met Gala event. They're not in
Okay,
Paris
they're
yet.
not in Paris yet. But we get introduced to Jacqueline Follette. And
Wearing a Pat Benatar wig.
Yep. And I lean over as we're watching this movie and I said, "She is Paul Rudd's girlfriend in Dinner for Schmucks."
Oh,
And I'm like, I'm glad that you knew that, because I did not know that. And good pull of the below the line cast on Dinner for Schmucks.
Yeah.
It's not Paul Rudd.
talk about. I actually looked her up.
Steve
So I was
Carell.
like, has this woman done anything else? She actually was on like that show, A Million Little Things.
Okay,
She was on that for like 4 years, and she was on like one of those TNT shows, Leverage or Maintenance or Plumbing or something.
Like The
I don't know.
Mentalist, it's been on for years, and
Yeah.
we haven't seen one episode of it.
Yeah, so she actually has
And
done
she
stuff.
Yes, and she is French. That accent is real.
Yeah.
And that's why I remembered her from Dinner for Schmucks, because why was Paul Rudd's girlfriend like this French
Right.
gallery owner? and she's really beautiful. Like, aside from the like weird Pat Benatar wig with the like shitty like streaks.
Yeah.
In this movie, she's really striking. So I remember being like, who is this beautiful French woman that they teamed Paul Rudd up in Dinner for Schmucks, my favorite Steve Carell movie.
Can I tell you, the children have forgotten Pat Benatar. I was watching Jeopardy the other night. They put up a picture of Pat Benatar. And the question is basically, who is this? And they're like, Joan Jett. And like, no. And then they had another they got another famous 80s rocker, but they could not come up with Pat Benatar. I was beside myself.
Sugar and Spice just lip synced on Drag Race to Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
To the
D-track.
to the most boring Pat Benatar song.
I'm sure that those two had never heard of Pat Benatar before they heard that track.
Absolutely not.
I don't know. Maybe they had. But.
Well, this Jacqueline Follette Pat Benatar wig is in full force.
It sure is.
I had forgotten about this whole like industry espionage,
corporate
like,
espionage,
subplot.
hostile takeovers. Mhm. She is the French editor of Runway, and they're gonna stage a coup and
oust Miranda.
Yep.
And you know this. Oh, I was gonna say the Simon Baker character was like kind of giving Andy shit for like working for Runway. I feel like, and then he's like, well, I'm coming in and I'm gonna be her like photo editor or whatever,
features
like,
editor or whatever. And it's like,
yeah,
why are you?
okay.
Yeah, well, that's just him negging her. That's him making sure that the self-esteem is nice and low, so he can appear
totally,
like a savior.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about some of the cameos in this movie?
Yes.
Sure. So the big one is Valentino.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Giselle
When you get to
Bundchen.
Paris. Yep.
I mean, Giselle as like this office gal.
They call them clackers.
I have not seen 80 for Brady, but I think Giselle did better than her ex did in 80 for Brady from what I've heard of it.
She has a very natural delivery in this movie. Her little line is funny.
Yeah, she was fine. She was fine. But my favorite thing to do with movies that were filmed in New York is like, oh, this was actually filmed in New York because I'm spotting theater people in it.
Oh, sure.
This one, you boys aren't that into theater, right? You guys aren't as theater heads like I am?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
Yeah.
Not really.
So there actually aren't that many in this one. One of them is Andy's father. That's David Marshall Grant, who's a big theater guy. But
I recognize him.
He does a lot of like TV and film stuff too. Okay, then you have Miranda's husband, played by Tony Award winner James Naughton. Who I always forget is there. And then this time I noticed one that I had never noticed before. This is going to be for 10 people in the audience, but I know they'll appreciate it. George C. Wolfe is in this movie, and he has like 4 lines. George C. Wolfe is like, he was the artistic director of the Public Theater for like a decade in the 90s.
Oh.
And he wrote like Jelly's Last Jam, and he's directed he directed like Lackawanna Blues. Like he's theater royalty. And like he's just in this movie for no reason, and to the point
where is he?
He's in this. His name is Paul in this movie. Who is Paul?
He is the one of the guys that's in all of the meetings with Miranda. He's the black man that's in all of those meetings. He literally says like 4 things in the background, and I was trying to figure out why. And at first I was like, I know he directed Meryl Streep in Mother Courage, but that was the year after this, so it couldn't have been that. So I'm like, I think maybe he was just like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I'll come in and be on this film set.
Just friends with Meryl.
Friends with Meryl, maybe. But
Scott, he directed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom for Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lost like 5 minutes in the movie being like, is that Tootsie Wolf?
Holy shit. That's funny.
Other cameos, we noticed Heidi Klum, height of Project Runway.
Absolutely.
I think Tim Gunn is thrown in there somewhere.
I believe he just gets conjured into those spaces when they happen. He just appears like a genie from a lamp.
Yeah, every time Heidi.
What's his name from E! News?
It's not Steve Kometko. It's the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to have an E! News correspondent.
I remember seeing him on E! News a lot.
When it comes to fashion things, it has to there has to be E! News is there. It's got to be just self. It's interesting that there's not more like. Because, I mean, even Zoolander got Zoolander shot at the VH1 Fashion Awards.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So that's how they got
people walking the red carpet.
Tom Ford and,
Natalie Portman.
All these people.
But I think a lot, I was reading about it, a lot of them were afraid of Anna Wintour. They were like,
Sure.
No, thank you.
Yeah. We don't want to piss off Anna.
Pass.
Okay.
And from what I've read about Anna's response to the movie, she's never publicly commented on it.
Okay.
She has something on YouTube with Meryl Streep where she sits down and has a conversation with Meryl Streep. They seem like old friends, which I'm sure that they've known each other for years.
Yeah.
But from everything that I've read, that she did like the movie. And she went to one of the big New York premieres with her daughter.
Okay. Good for her.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can imagine that Meryl has to, she's familiar with Anna Wintour. She knows her. And I can imagine that she's not just like, first of all, she's like not the Bob wig, right? And that's a big no.
Yeah.
But then secondly, Miranda's persona is it's such this character choice. It's everything's low tones.
Mm-hmm.
There's no emotion.
I think that I was reading that a big inspiration of her vocals and her little tics are from Mike Nichols.
Oh,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thought that was interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a all these conscious and of course it's Meryl Streep, so I'm not going to be like what a smart choice.
She's got legs. That one. Well, she might make it in this industry.
Look at that.
She's got a future. But there are these kind of genius little things that I don't know that I would think of just making her. She's not making her this bombastic, kind of.
You don't really see her yell in this movie.
No, never.
Yeah, she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
I think that when she's on the phone about the plane, that's probably as vocally upset that we see her.
Drizzling. Lightning crash.
Yeah. Unlike, I don't think that Bette Midler as Rose... not Shelton. I forgot
Sadie.
I forgot the name of. She's business Big City Big City Sadie.
Big City Sadie.
Yeah, she didn't really yell at them either, but I think it was a different kind of. It's a very Bette Midler.
Your dress looks like a blood clot.
Yeah. It's that cutoff tone. Hey now, yeah. Pop, 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 pop. It's like a little BB gun constantly firing.
Yes,
friendly fire everywhere. And Miranda's
but there's something more
quiet.
Yeah, there's something scarier about that.
Why is nobody ready? I don't know there's ever been a better burn than calling someone an incubus of viral plague. That is just excellent writing. Excellent writing.
Yeah. So good. But yeah, it's just I just when you watch it and you just see, the way that she can just like, it's just looks that she gives, just kind of like, I don't know, faces that she makes. And it's just.
Well, I remember reading an interview with her where someone was asking her about her performance in the movie. And she was like, I think that everything about Miranda is, I work this hard. Why aren't you working this hard?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
And so it's coming from this place of, I'm holding you to the same standard that I hold myself to, and I meet it. So you have to meet it.
Yeah.
Or I'm not interested. Which, I'm not saying she's a great boss, but that is fair. And she does work really hard in the movie. You can she works constantly. So.
Right, because I was going to say, sometimes when you have a job and there are people at if you work in a corporate job, let's say, and there are executives or certain people that are a little bit higher up that make their own hours, and they're not often the first people to be there, and they're most often the first people to leave, and you're just like, what the fuck? Yeah. What the hell? But Miranda is not that person. She was not the last person to show up. She would get there fairly. I think just Andy and Emily got there mega early, and Miranda probably showed up about 8:30 every day.
Yeah.
She wasn't waltzing in at like 11. I think Miranda was showing up at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And she was often working late hours and working from home and having the book and making these decisions at home, when somebody of a way lower level, like an assistant, is just like, when I get home, I'm fucking home.
Yeah.
And so you're right. It's just that level of perfectionism, I'm reading a lot about one Miss Leah Michelle. Who that's her response.
Sure.
Her response is, oh, well, I'm a perfectionist and I just demand things from myself, and maybe I just let it get away from me, and it comes off harsh to other people around me. And it's like, all right.
It doesn't come off as harshly. It comes off as racist. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Everyone was fine with you being a bitch. We all knew that. It's the racial stuff. That was the problem.
Yeah. That's where we kind of take a step back.
Yeah.
But I specifically remember her making that kind of thing about like, well, I'm a perfectionist. And it's like, okay, all right. Let's,
I'm a perfectionist, and I guess that's my downfall.
Yeah.
Right.
A thing that this script does that I kind of appreciate, and I think that if you were to make this movie now, you would have to add a whole backstory to Miranda of that, well, why is she the way she is? Like, what's Miranda's backstory? And I kind of like in this movie, you don't get it. That it's all left off the page.
Yeah, well, because also you're trusting your actress, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
I know, you're right. It's all off the page, but I know Miranda's backstory. She was Emily at one point, and she made all of the choices to rise to the top, and like, she's staying there.
Or as she says at the end, that she was maybe more the Andy.
It's interesting that they're kind of like, when they talk about the whole like Jacqueline situation, and they're just like, oh, Miranda's old. Like, we need new blood in there to like make these decisions and all that. But I don't know. I feel like the fashion world is just like, I don't think when it comes to that level, like when it does come to like an Anna Wintour or whatever, I don't know that it would ever be like, well, she's too old. I think that they just trust those decisions. Like,
I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I certainly wouldn't want to get someone young in there to do that job. Like, I could see being like, you have two assistants and you are costing the magazine an enormous amount of money with your, shall we call it, bullshit. Like, we're going to replace you. But I don't know if someone young is the way to go. Like, hire Andy. She seems like a real up-and-comer. See if she could do the job.
Yeah. You're right, though. There are those, like, what was she canceled something and it ended up costing them $300,000 for just,
I always remember that. Did you watch the September issue? I feel like the September issue kind of came about as a response to this movie of that we have to humanize Anna Wintour and make her like a real person, and then they made the September issue. And I remember there's a scene with Grace Coddington. That's what this movie is missing, is that it's missing a Grace Coddington figure with Andy. Where
that's Tucci.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess you're right. Where they're looking through everything that Anna vetoed of a photo shoot, and she's like, yeah, that just costs like $20,000. With her saying like, no.
Wow.
But yeah, I always remember that in the doc.
Do we think Anna Wintour actually drinks Starbucks?
That was my thing.
That
I was like,
very
Starbucks.
unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I was like, she's got like a Breville, like
she has a barista that just stands there all day making her espressos if she wants them.
I even see Anna being more of a tea drinker.
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe she, like Lauren Bacall, she has enough caffeine in her life.
Do you think she drinks High Point decaffeinated coffee?
Yep.
It's decaffeinated.
I've got enough caffeine in my life. Yeah, but you're right. She would have somebody there on staff. Like, I don't know about a Starbucks run, kind of like that was weird.
You would think that, I mean, at this time, did office buildings have coffee shops in the building?
If any of them did, Vogue did. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe it was a power move.
Yeah. Also, I want to know what
my
happens
breakfast
to that
steak?
dog. There is an enormous dog in one scene in this movie that does not appear in
She owns a
Anywhere,
Saint Bernard. Could you imagine having a fancy townhouse like that in New York and having a Saint Bernard?
No. Well, I mean, that one maybe because it apparently disappears when it goes into the townhouse. But
Yeah.
never shows up again.
Oh my god. Maybe that townhouse has a little backyard.
Maybe.
With a little dog house.
That's where the dog lives.
Like Peter Pan. It's
Right.
just like a little house back there.
Can I tell you boys
Fucking
one of the
Miranda.
first things I noticed in this movie?
Please.
What's that?
This is rated PG-13, and one of the reasons that it's rated PG-13 is listed as violence. And I was like, emotional violence?
Where's the violence?
I've come to the conclusion it has to be Emily Blunt getting hit by the car,
Getting
which is
hit by the
not
car.
violence,
Sure.
it's comedy. It is pure comedy.
Yeah. The scarves flying in the air in slow motion.
Yeah, I mean, we just did Meet Joe Black on our show, and like,
how'd that go?
oh my god, oh Jesus Lord! But like,
I mean, he gets hit by that car in the
That
first
is
like
a car
20
crash.
minutes.
And that is
so
the peak.
You have a good 2.5 hours left.
yeah, that is the peak of that film. I mean, we talked about that scene for probably 15 minutes. I don't think I'm exaggerating. What a comedic gem it is. But like, I was like, violence, and then I'm like, does she slap Andy at some point? Like, does Andy actually get punched? And I don't remember. But I've come to the conclusion it must be the car.
And also, maybe they kind of, for the ratings board, like, would this have been a PG movie? Like,
Sure.
they probably were just like, this can't be PG.
Right.
Like, no, throwing a couple of fucks, because I mean, like, I just think they didn't want it to be PG, and that was the only thing that they could.
Right.
Aside, I mean, barring having someone, say the F word, like,
Yeah.
that would be the only thing that would make it PG-13 is violence. And so then maybe they were just like, hey, how about that car crash?
Oh, but that is a
was pretty
missed
bloody.
opportunity to have Andy accidentally say fuck in front of Miranda and get absolutely eviscerated for it.
Right? Yeah. Language.
Just vivisected.
Yeah. I mean, how did Emily not like curse at all? Like, oh my goodness. But yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of that. This movie's PG-13. What else would it be rated? Like, yeah. It's not R by any means. It's fun for the whole family.
You know, those kid matinees that are showing Devil Wears Prada.
Do you guys have a favorite look of the movie?
I think that I do. Okay, so it's when Andy brings back the Harry Potter book, and I love the look on Streep's face of, oh shit, you did it.
Yeah.
But it's also Miranda trying not to visibly show that she's impressed by it, but just Meryl and that subtle look that she does with her eyes of, what do you want my twins to do? Share.
Right.
And then when she says that, oh no, this one is on file, the twins are on the train right now, and she's just looks at her and is like, all right, that's all. Just like that subtle acting with Meryl that is just so good.
I love it.
But you meant... Oh, go! I was gonna say you meant outfits.
I meant
ensembles?
outfit. I did, but
okay. I was thinking like look as in like
a Meryl look,
character performance.
If we're going for character performance, I love when Meryl turns around after Andy laughs in the cerulean scene, and she just bares her teeth, and you just like I think the Jaws theme actually plays. I'm not sure, but I absolutely heard it in that moment, and she's just like, "I'm going to destroy you." Oh
my god.
But the look that I don't know if favorite is the right word, but the look that I return to is the one where where Anne Hathaway is wearing a white button-down shirt with a black cold shoulder sweater over it.
Yep,
and then all the necklace with like a
too much jewelry,
black and white cap. It is like this is more 90s than 2000. This is Patricia Field getting her.
All right, Pat.
Yeah.
Is it if the black sweater situation was pink, it would be Ashley Tisdale.
Yes, absolutely.
It would be Ashley Tisdale at a red carpet.
Uh-huh.
I really like the look that Miranda is subtly creating as she's dressing down Andy.
Sure. Oh yeah.
With the cerulean,
the pink
speech,
tutu,
and then it needs a jacket. She chooses which one of the turquoise belts that she likes the best.
I want to see it on a model.
I want to see it on somebody because I like that it's got this little bolero jacket with the big skirt, and then it's with the turquoise belt. I was like, I'm kind of loving this little outfit that she's making right now.
Absolutely.
I don't want to see it on someone, but we did mention the crazy black sweater over with the hat and the jewelry.
I think it's kind of what Emily shows up to the office with, where she's wearing like her Star Trek Vivian Westwood with like the shoulders of this is Emily going to work.
Yep. It's like any one of us who doesn't wear couture to work.
Oh man, and yeah, I feel like Miranda's outfits are, I don't know, they're not Madame, but she's a certain age, so she's giving looks.
She's giving,
but I think
chic.
Yeah, she's giving more chic than anything.
Yeah,
yeah. There's the whole like horrible boss. The Devil Wears Prada.
I mean, we love
hell.
a good. I think that our friend Michael Morgan mentioned on our Poison Ivy episode. He loves a good blank from hell movie.
Sure,
Best Friend from Hell.
Yeah,
Girlfriend from Hell.
Boss from Hell.
Boss from Hell.
Yeah, and it's like I get that the montage of the coats and the purse just on top of Andy and all the stuff about just like, oh, and do this and do this and do this and do this and do this. And then leave. And it's like, well, how do you expect her to do all those things if you're not allowing her to write it down or whatever? And it's just like, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, when Andy does start to kind of get a feel for things, I mean, obviously they're setting her up to fail at the beginning.
Yeah.
But, it's just like anything. It's just like as shitty as Miranda could be. It's just like, well, once you start knowing her language and can speak Miranda, then you can succeed at this job.
You can anticipate what she's going to do.
Yeah.
You can get her Starbucks.
Yeah. And her 11 a.m. steak.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Could you imagine having a steak of that size for lunch?
Oh, God, no.
That was a huge steak.
Barely imagine
like a
having one
Flintstone
for
steak.
Dinner. Yeah. It's a Flintstone steak.
But wasn't that just a test so that she can tell Andy I don't want it?
Oh, yeah.
I think that was just
some of the
just
emotional
a
violence we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that was the emotional violence. Absolutely. But I was thinking the whole time, I mean, again, we didn't have iPhones yet quite in 2006, but we did have little digital recorders or even one with a tape.
Oh yeah.
Just fucking record everything she's saying.
Yeah.
If you don't have time to write it down, you need me, Miranda? Hold on one moment. Go ahead.
Uh-huh. Great.
I mean, does her sidekick, could you do notes in Sidekicks?
Probably. Sidekicks had a lot of features. They probably had a voice recorder on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just record the fuck out of everything she's saying, and then you won't have to be like, duh, she said, blah,
Yeah.
if you don't know these, designers or whoever, it's like, give your, like, think outside the box. Critical thinking.
Exactly. You have a problem. Come up with a solution.
Exactly.
Now, you worked in PR, right?
I did.
Did you run into any Devil Wears Prada shenanigans at your old PR job?
Our good friend Marlene, who has been on our Truth or Dare episode, and I worked together for a publicist. And the publicist that we worked for, she... her clients were fine arts clients.
Okay.
So she had museums, small galleries, things like that. And so it was a very specific world that we were in. And sometimes our boss, Christine, was a little kooky and a little cuckoo and, you know, would come to us with things. And, you know, and much like Miranda, there were certain things that Christine wanted for us to, you know, she would have them sent to the office, but she would be like, I'm not coming in today. And I'm in Ojai for 3 days. And we're like, okay. And she's like, take it to my house. You've got the keys. And we're like, all right. And I remember one time they were like, Peter, you take it to Christine's house. It's in Beverly Hills. And I was like, all right. And she had this condo in Beverly Hills and she had white carpet. And Christine was the type of person that she was in her 50s. She had like a slamming body. She was blonde and just beautiful, and no children, no husband, no pets.
Okay.
And white wall-to-wall carpeting.
Love it.
And her condo in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
White leather couches. I was just like, oh my God. So I like took my shoes off as I'm like in here, and I'm like, what do I put? So I just like put it somewhere. And like left and brought the keys back, and I was like holding onto the keys like to her condo like for dear life. She wasn't like you know, she didn't have any like horrible boss like unreasonable things, but she was a little cuckoo sometimes.
I remember my first job in LA being a runner at Aspect Ratio. They cut movie trailers, and there were certain producers that had a reputation of usually sending the runners on wild goose chases, like having to track down ice cream trucks anywhere in LA. So you would have to get on their Twitter account and see where they were.
Oh, because that was the big like food truck boom.
Weird producer demands of that. We want to send this gift to like a studio to try to get an account. Like go to this place, and there were certain producers that had a reputation of being a little more difficult. The actual guy that like owned the company was super chill. Kind of the irony. So I remember kind of doing stuff like that.
I worked
kind of getting thrown into it. Yeah.
I worked in hotels, and the hotel I worked at, Sybil Shepherd would stay there, and she would this was in the 2000s, not the peak of Sybil Shepherd's fame.
Right.
And she was very much living in the peak of her fame when she would come to stay at the hotel. She expected to be swept up to her room immediately. She did not want to have to stop at the front desk. That needed to all be taken care of in advance. She was ill once while at the hotel. There was a whole thing about soup. It was it was a lot. It was like, ma'am, the day has passed that you can get away with it. I'm sorry.
Moonlighting is long gone.
Yeah.
Oh man. Didn't she do a Martha Stewart television
She
movie
sure did.
around that time? Probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, that's why she was riding high on those
That's
Martha
right.
fumes.
On the sweet Martha Stewart dollars.
That's funny. Yeah, thankfully, I mean, I do, you know, currently my day job is, you know, in the tech world, and it is the company that I work for is super chill. So thankfully right now I don't have a lot of like people to answer to that are crazy anymore. I mean, hopefully I'm of a certain age, you know?
Yeah. You get to a certain age, you're like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So, yeah, but I think everybody's paid their dues, and I think especially in if you're in New York, if you're in Los Angeles, if you're in any big city, you know, if you kind of want to make it in a creative field, you do work with some kooks every now and then.
Absolutely. And it can be fun if you are secure in yourself and you're not like the lowest person on the totem pole.
And hopefully you surround yourself with people, friends, and loved ones that are kind of in the same part of their life that understand that sometimes you have to take a call, or sometimes you have to work late, or weekends and holidays. So,
and don't steal your phone and keep you from holding it, from answering the phone call.
Yeah.
Just the worst.
Yeah, I think that's the mistake. I think putting the friends in art and food in New York was probably a bad idea. I think having them be in finance, corporate America, or even just service industry, retail, I don't know, like
Have them be
So
aimless.
where they-
They're just
Yeah.
like fucking off, and they're like waiting tables in New York, and they want to go have New York experiences and like and live like their 20s. And she's trying to do this whole like I'm thinking about the rest of my life thing,
Career.
and like that conflict then makes sense because they're like, why don't you want to have fun with us? And she's like, because I want to be able to fucking go on vacation whenever I want to by the time I'm 45. Like I don't have to worry about this. And like that's a real conflict.
Yeah, but having them in fields that are just as competitive, just as like we said, any creative field, you're going to have people that are off their rocker.
Yeah,
and art, food, and fashion in New York City,
insane.
Come on, yeah,
insane.
even Trump's L.A.
Yeah, way more worse.
Even more so,
way worse than L.A. Yeah, absolutely. So. That's our hot take.
Very hot. I do have a couple of New York notes on the movie. Really, just one left.
Oh yes,
one New York that we haven't hit already. Anne Hathaway does famously eat an onion bagel in the beginning of this movie. I have no issue with her eating an onion bagel. Onion bagels are delicious.
Yes,
I have an issue with her eating an onion bagel while skipping down the subway station steps like a sandwich. Eat your onion bagels at home. At the cafe, when you get to work at your desk, and you eat it by taking it apart and eating it. It's not a sandwich, okay?
No, it's not.
That is unacceptable to me.
Absolutely. And eating food on the subway?
No.
Oh.
No. I have never done that. I think I've had water bottles where I've taken drinks of water on the subway. That is it. I do not think I've ever eaten anything on the subway in 20 plus years of living here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one quick thing at the beginning of the movie when she's decidedly doesn't run a comb through her hair.
No.
And, puts this outfit on. And I was just like, can you believe this bog witch is eating food first thing in the morning? And carbs to boot.
Yeah, and she also decidedly brushes her teeth without toothpaste, which is a particular bugaboo of mine. Why are directors having actors and actresses to shove dry toothbrushes in it? Have them do something else. Floss, wash your face, mouthwash. Toothbrush, tweeze your eyebrows, tweeze your chin, tweeze anything. Like, stop it. That's not what it looks like when people brush their teeth.
Yeah. No, but you're absolutely right. The everything about the bagel situation was kind of lunacy. The sandwich, not eating it in two halves, and most of all, the biggest sin is eating. Let's just say she planned on finishing it by the time she got into the train.
Right.
Even down those steps.
Nope.
Even
absolutely
down those
not.
steps.
That is a no food area.
Yeah. You got pizza rat germs just floating around.
Yeah. You do not know who you're going to meet down there, and you don't want to be in the eating situation when you meet them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on the train the other day and going to work. It was the above ground train at this point. We're no longer in the subway, which is the above ground one in LA is a little slightly cleaner.
Okay.
And it was the morning, so it was probably about 7:15 by the time this girl got on, and she was eating something out of a bowl. Cereal, maybe yogurt. I don't know what it was, and I had a seat open next to me, and I was just like, God, please do not sit next to me. Eating a bowl of cottage cheese. I don't know what it was.
I'm just picturing her like taking out a Frosted Flakes and like putting in a bowl, then taking out some almond milk and putting that in.
I was just like,
crunching
what
away.
Are you doing? Yeah. It was mortifying. Thankfully, she did not sit next to me, but yeah. So, oh my goodness. Well, I think we are just about out of time.
I have a few notes about Andy's big decision to throw her cell phone into the fountain, which, I mean, I guess that's another thing. I don't know if I'm getting rid of my phone in a foreign country. I think that if I am Andy, I am getting out of that car with her.
You think?
And it's one of those things that am I morally bankrupt now? Of just sort of the logic of the movie is that you saw Miranda pull this fucking boss move of, you are not going to get rid of me because I am 20 steps in front of you.
Yeah.
And I have figured all this shit out. And I feel like the movie does treat Miranda like a terrible person for doing it.
Yep.
Right.
And kind of me, the viewer, I'm just like, I don't know. It's kind of fierce.
I think Tucci's character is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another
He'll figure it
opportunity
out.
will come around.
She's
And,
thinking
yeah.
of the grander picture
Yeah.
of Runway.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
you're right,
think
you're
that's
right.
what like where the problem with the movie's messaging comes in
Yes.
for me, because it's like it's weird. Like, okay, you want people to respect fashion as a real thing, which they should. I agree with that. But like, where is the line of what she shouldn't do? I think what the movie wants to say, the sin was betraying Nigel, right? Like, because
Right.
Nigel lost out
Yeah.
on his dream job because Miranda made sure she kept her dream job. But it's like, okay, I get that. But also, Nigel is the only person she treats well the entire movie. So he's not like suffering or having a horrible time at Runway like other people.
Yeah, true.
And at the end of the day, she's protecting her job that she's given up
Yeah.
her whole life for.
And she's protecting the brand.
Yeah.
Because she mentioned that like, if I'm gone, the magazine will suffer.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She had a whole thing about like why, the magazine as a whole.
So Pete always, I remember a few years ago, you noted that Meryl has that line of, "Are you kidding me, Andy? Everybody wants to be us." And Pete, you mentioned Goldie from Overboard.
Everyone wants to be me.
Just sort of these similar lines, but just sort of delivered
Yeah.
very differently. I thought that was kind of a funny observation when you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I read
when
that,
she said everyone.
I read that apparently the line was written as "Everybody wants to be me," and Meryl changed it to "Everybody wants to be us."
I love that.
I love
Yeah.
that too. That's smart.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
actor.
And I believe Miranda would say that.
Absolutely. Because as far
Yeah,
as
I believe
Miranda's
she would say
concerned,
us.
she's like, okay, I see. Yeah, you could be me. You're the
Yeah,
first one of
yeah.
all of my assistants that like has the potential to actually become me.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I'm getting out of the car with her.
I mean, you could still quit. Just do this last thing. Go back
Yeah.
to New York, and then just be like, you know what? I think I'm done here.
I'm at least riding this job out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
But you need the movie ending of her not getting out and
right. How
throwing
long
the
do you
phone
think the movie takes? Like 2 months?
Right? I don't
I hope
really know
longer.
what the
Like, what's the timeline there? I mean,
Yeah.
timeline of
based
this is.
on
Yeah.
the weather patterns, I'm guessing it was filmed in like fall in New York.
Right.
Because
right.
it's not summer, it's not winter, and spring has a different feel. So I'm guessing that's meant to be like maybe September. Like she just graduated, had a fun summer, and then she moved to New York in September, and that's her job, and it goes to like mid-November,
January or so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's supposed to be an entire year, but you're right. The weather doesn't.
The
make
weather
sense
never
to that
changes.
at all. Yeah, yeah. And she's wearing coats and
Yeah.
and boots and so
They only had Meryl for fall of 2005.
right. She's like, "This is what I got."
wow. Well, I mean, fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it's solid. I'm glad that we finally got to it. Meryl lost the Oscar to Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren had a huge moment in 2006
Yeah.
of she's in her 60s and she still got it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was playing
So I'd
Queen
imagine
Elizabeth
that-
at every turn.
Yep. I would imagine that she probably won that Oscar by a pretty big margin. But who knows? Meryl could have been number 2.
I remember that being like a foregone conclusion one. Like
Yeah.
we knew she was getting that one. I didn't even remember who else was nominated.
Oh, sure.
I can name it. It was Meryl Streep, Helen Mirren, Penelope Cruz,
For Voltaire?
Kate Winslet for Voltaire, Kate Winslet, and
Kate Winslet for Little Children?
Little Children. Yeah.
Oh, I never watched that movie. Ooh, that was too creepy for me.
Oh, Little Children's great.
I bet it's fantastic, but I was like, no, thank you.
Because I am a completist. Judi Dench, Notes on a Scandal.
Oh.
Probably who I would vote for.
I would have voted for.
Yep.
I would have
Barbara.
voted for Dench. I would have voted for Dench on that
Yep.
one.
Barbara.
Oh, Barbara, you want to fuck me, Barbara?
we did a whole episode with you on it. So yeah, I got to go with Judy.
Yeah. In that crew, I think I would go for Judy on that one.
Wow. And wait, what did Helen Mirren win for?
The Queen.
The Queen, of course, of course. Which now that we're watching The Crown, we're just like, is Helen Mirren really doing anything in this movie?
Is she really doing the accent?
I am trying to get a whisper campaign going that no one in America can ever be awarded an acting award again for playing any member of the British royal family from modern ages, from like the 1700s on. You can no longer win acting awards for it. Absolutely not.
We're done.
We're done.
Yeah.
It's over. No more. When they do the Harry and Meghan movie with like Zoe Saldana and some unknown Irish actor, they can't win awards for it. That's it.
Oh my God. I still stand by. I don't think they're going to do Harry and Meghan on The Crown. It's got to be something else. It's going to be its own thing.
Yeah, they're not good. I
don't know.
I
think that they could circle back to it. I don't know.
It'll be a reboot.
Yeah,
but
The Crown 2 still crowning
after all these years. Oh my God. Well, I think it's time for us to wrap this up. This has been so much fun, Paul.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks for having me. It was so fun to be here.
You have your show That Aged Well.
We do.
I do listen to it. I was just listening to your Titanic episode.
Okay.
Titanic super fan here. I feel like you guys have been relatively kind to it. So thank you very much.
It is a movie that, first of all, I am of the belief that, because it was so long, we split it into 2 episodes. I am of the belief that the second half of Titanic is much more entertaining than the first half of Titanic.
Oh yeah.
So and so but I do think it is kind of undeniable. There's something about James Cameron does get some kind of comfort food. Like if you allow yourself to be swept up in Titanic, swept up you will be.
Swept away. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find That Aged Well? Yeah,
you can find That Aged Well on any podcasting delivery service that you may choose to use. We release episodes on Mondays. And you have a whole bunch of them. You can pick your favorite movie. You can listen to me and Erica chat about it.
You just hit episode 200.
We did. Showgirls.
That's going to be us later in the year. Mm-hmm.
A Showgirls extravaganza was episode 200.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And your socials are at That Aged Well?
Yep. We're at That Aged Well on Instagram and at That Aged Well Pod on Twitter. If Twitter continues to exist, we shall see. She'll touch and go over there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd love to have you on again in the future.
Absolutely.
But until then, we'll bid you adieu.
Bye.
Bye, man. And thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Fun show.
Yes, absolutely. We love Devil Wears Prada. We love Paul. We love That Aged Well. Go check out their show. A lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But I think right about now,
Patreon shout-outs.
It's time for some Patreon shout-outs. We have some really cool patrons that we love, including Whirly Flower Frog, Lori Brenna, Jessa Rabbit 45, Lawrence, Danielle, Alexis, Thomas, Mark, Jackson, Millie, Ted, Benny, Melanie, Susan, JJ, Shelby, Michael, Heather, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emma, Melly, Aaron, Jessica, Nick, and Shannon, Christine, and finally Rufino. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being a friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for being friends, guys.
We love it.
Head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay, and you can check out all of our supplemental material, including our commentary tracks.
You'll get the commentary tracks. You'll get the episodes. If I am done editing them early, I put them right on Patreon at any membership level.
Yes,
You'll get our newsletters.
You can listen to the episodes about a week early if we are done. And we've got some fun newsletters with lots of behind-the-scenes info, pictures, things like that. Sometimes we will create holiday playlists on Apple Music or Spotify for you to check out some music that we're listening to, things like that. So head over to patreon.com. If you don't want to do a monthly subscription, you don't have to. If you just want to donate whatever you can for 1 month, you can just make that donation and listen to everything at that level. And once the month is over, just go ahead and cancel it, and you're good to go. And you listen to all of the episodes. If you want to do that, feel free. So every little bit helps, and it goes directly towards keeping the podcast up and running and hosted every week and ad-free. Mm-hmm. So do that. We would love it if you would like and subscribe on all the platforms out there. If you're on Apple Music or if you are on Spotify, give us 5 stars. If you're on Apple Music, go ahead and write us a good review. We love those reviews, and we'll read them on an upcoming episode. And if you are on all the socials, we are too. So feel free to follow us. We are at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram and Facebook.
And on Twitter at NTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. And if you want to follow our personal socials, feel free. I am at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week.
That's all.
That's all.